Crab game? More like bad game. Okay, so this is just a new game that came out like a week ago, which was actually developed by a popular YouTuber. It's an unofficial adaptation of an obscure Taiwanese TV show called Squid Game. Crab game follows a similar structure to the show it's based on. You compete against players in matches based off children's games, like hide and seek and tag. The losers get eliminated, and you keep playing games until only one person remains. It's pretty simple, and took like 2 weeks to make, but it's also very popular. I can't lie, I've had a lot of fun with this game, but I can't ignore that it also kind of sucks. So I'm going to rant about the things that I personally dislike. My first problem with Crab game is the Pinto Waltz mode. It basically just plays like Splatoon, which is the actual original Squid game. You have to cover the map in more of your color than the other teams to win. It might sound fun, but Pinto Waltz is a flawed mode for multiple reasons. Number 1, it's the only mode that is team-based. Being in a team lowers the amount of impact an individual has on the outcome, which can make it feel like whoever wins is kind of random. Especially when there's a lot of players, it can feel like however well you play in the round doesn't really matter or affect the outcome. There are other minigames that have things outside of your control, but at least in those ones, the actions you take after getting dealt a shitty hand will still decide whether you live or die. And Crab game will also still give you this mode, even if the teams can't be split evenly. Not a big deal when there's over 30 players, but if you get it, when there's only 8 of you, each player becomes more important as they make up a larger percentage of the team, and you might get stuck in a nearly unwinnable 2v3v3. Number 2, this is a game mode with 3 or more teams. This becomes a problem when multiple teams can decide to just gang up on another, and basically guarantee a win. You want to feel like you can change the course of the match throughout the whole round. It isn't fun for the loser of the match to be already decided whenever 2 teams set to target a different color. Again, this will matter less when there's lots of players, since it's too chaotic to realistically coordinate things. But when there's 15 of you, it's very easy for multiple teams to just completely shut down one color. This is also an issue in a similar game, Fall Guys, but this problem is much worse in Crab game due to the third reason, proximity voice chat. In Crab game, every player can talk to each other at all times, and it's usually pretty funny. But allowing communication between teams during this mode just infinitely worsens the problem of ganging up. To fix the mode, I would suggest limiting it to 2 teams, disabling proximity chat during this mode, or just removing Pinto Waltz entirely. It might seem nitpicky to single out one minigame out of dozens, and say that's why the game sucks, but it's kind of important that every game plays well. It's a permadeath game, so even if you're having fun up to a certain point, if you run into a shitty game and die unsatisfyingly, it's going to put a damper on the whole thing. Another issue with Crab game is that whenever the host of the server leaves the game, the entire server gets shut down. It just ruins the enjoyment if you make it through 3 insane rounds, you're in the flow state, and then boom, the match is over, bye. I don't know anything about server hosting, but there's other games where if the host leaves, the hosting gets transferred to another player, and this is maybe something he can add. But I don't know if this is something that can be realistically added by one developer, or if it's even possible for this game. But at the very least, he could add some sort of confirmation box for the host if they're about to leave. Because right now, you're just one click away from leaving, and I can easily see someone forgetting that they are the host, and just instinctively pressing leave after they die. Related to this, is the issue of hosts kicking people for no reason. One player being able to remove any other player whenever they want, is obviously very easily abusable. Now this isn't an issue unique to Crab game, but in a battle royale type game, getting kicked is a lot more punishing, as surviving multiple rounds, and making it further increases our investment in the game. I don't know if there's really a fix for this, because there's obviously going to be times where kicking is needed and justified, but it's still worth bringing up as something that lowers the enjoyment of the game. Some people may ask, why don't I just make my own server then? That way I can pick which games are available, and I won't get kicked. And that would be great, but filling up a server isn't very easy. I tested this by making a lobby, and timing to see how long it would take for anyone to join. I waited 10 minutes, and nobody ever did, and I probably could have waited 10 hours, and it would still be empty. And I'm not using this experience as a critique against Crab game, I'm just showing that hosting isn't a realistic solution to the previous problems, because unless you start your server with like 6 of your friends, it's pretty hard to reliably get any players. The last issue I want to talk about is a new minigame added in the latest and first content update. Bustling buttons. This is by far the worst minigame in Crab Game for pretty obvious reasons. The game is based around pushing 5 identical buttons, one of which will kill you. Players have to go up one by one, making a guess, and then hoping you don't die. Once a button is used, it will become unavailable for the next player, raising the chance that you'll hit the wrong button each turn. Once someone hits the bad button, they die. All the buttons become available again, and the cycle continues until enough people are dead. And that's the whole game. It is literally just luck. There is no skill, it's just blind guessing, hoping you don't explode. Now there is definitely a place for luck in Crab Game. If it was all just skill based, it would get boring seeing the people who just know life the game, winning over and over. And almost every one of the modes incorporates some degree of chance, for example getting to spawn with a hat, or getting picked to hold a time bomb. But Bustling Buttons doesn't just contain luck, it is only luck. Take another heavily luck-based game that does a better job, Stepping Stones. Players have to cross a bridge, where there's a 50% chance one of the platforms will break when you jump on it. Luck obviously plays a huge role, but it's so much more dynamic than Bustling Buttons. You have the chaos of trying to get somebody to go first, the risk of getting pushed off the platforms, there's actual jumps you have to make, and an ever-ticking clock. It would be hard to even call Bustling Buttons a game, because you could just replace it with a spinner between rounds that decides if I die or not, and the result would be the same. The only difference would be that I wouldn't get the illusion of choice by getting to randomly pick a button based off zero information. It's actually crazy that the dev made this whole mode without once thinking, wait, this is the worst idea of all time, the fuck am I doing? This would be acceptable in something like Mario Party, but it doesn't belong in a death game which makes your heart pound if you make it far, just so you can die to a literal coin flip. Furthermore, it's very boring to just watch each player make their choice, which can take up to 15 seconds, especially when there's 10 or more players. Despite these issues, there's still a lot to love about Crab Game. The majority of the minigames are enjoyable, and the movement is surprisingly rewarding. Its version of red light green light is a highlight for me. It really accurately captures the intensity of the scene it's based off. There is little margin for error, and even just turning your camera will get you killed. It's startling to hear the deaths of your competitors behind you, and seeing their bloody remains blow past you is unnerving. And most of the time, the proximity chat does add a lot of humor to the game, and hearing their scared voices humanizes your opponents, and makes you feel worse for killing them.
I don't want to die, please!
So, I have had fun playing, but like I said earlier, even if you survive 3 fun rounds in a row, if Bustling Buttons is the game that sends you back to the menu, the whole experience becomes tainted. While some of these issues are fixable, the fact that this minigame even got past the point of being a shitty idea doesn't make me hopeful for the future of the game. It is still very popular, so I hope enough attention is given to it so that it can live up to its potential. Also, the game is still pretty glitchy, but this is something that can be improved with time. But honestly, what are the odds Netflix just shuts this down in a week?